Let me come to this chapter called Reclaiming Justice, the urgency for judicial reform. I thought that the third term of the Modi government will result in a whole lot of reforms and all, but seems, at least at this stage, that judicial reforms like police reforms may not happen. At least now we're again one nation, one election not happening. We are going into election mode continuously. 4 months after the general elections. So anyway, I'm going to read out this part where you say economic activity is affected by the long shadow of delays and pendency across the legal landscape. Now, everybody knows about pendency and the need for changes to happen and for us to quickly reform. Now, in this, you say that clearing the legal logjam. First is to achieve a 100% clearance rate, so that there's no accumulation of pending cases. And the second is to remove the backlog of cases already present in the system.
Yeah.
How important is this for economic activity now?
I think it's absolutely critical because, in any economy, enforcement of contracts is actually really critical for economic activity. And here, whenever I think about, the judicial delays, I'm reminded of this wonderful movie, Damini. Remember, Sunny Deol thundering in the courtroom saying, Tariq pe Tariq, Tariq pe Tariq, Tariq pe Tariq, Judge Saab, mili hai to sirf Tariq, insaf nahi, right? I think that exemplifies, and this dialogue was about maybe in the 90s, maybe.
Yeah,
I think 90s, right? We are still talking about that. In fact, we wrote about this in the 2018-19 economic survey. At that time, actually, compared to that, the backlog has actually increased significantly. I think by about 30-odd%.
The CJI said that.
Yes, so
everybody knows about it.
Exactly, but I think and that's where I have tried to analyze and using the latest data. I think it is important to recognize that the problem is not as insurmountable as it seems. The first thing is to ensure 100% case clearance rate. If the case
pendency in December 2023 is 4.49 crores. I mean, it's bizarre.
4.5 crores.
So
yeah.
to dispose of these cases will take what, a decade? I think it's not going to happen.
It can actually
at the current pace.
Yes, in fact, but it won't happen with just status quo. I think that is an important point I want to make.
Yeah.
As I said, so there are and you read out very well. There are two parts, right? One is to ensure there is no hereafter accumulation of cases, for which the case clearance rate being at least 100% is by far the most important. What do we need to do that? I think
summer vacation. The summer vacation. End the summer vacation.
That is one solution, of course, but there are other solutions as well. No, I think I would want to take that up seriously as well.
You need more vacation benches.
Maybe that actually, but let me focus on. See, if you look at the backlogs and overall, 85% of these are in the district and the sessions courts, right? And if we just ensure that the sanction strength, judges are basically appointed to the sanctions. We don't need to increase the sanction strength at all. We just make sure that vacancies are filled. That will ensure that the case clearance rate is 100%. That's one of the key parts basically taken care of, so that there is no further accumulation. The second part is then basically decumulation, reducing the backlog, for which, if we can actually appoint judges, I think that, especially at the district and sessions courts, because, think about the common person, right? A lot of them really deal with the judiciary at the sessions court level, at the district court level. If we can use technology here, and I think this is where the judicial, administrative service, I think, may be very important. The judges, we can have actually things like use of technology to be able to, for instance, when in the US and others, we have what is called LexisNexis, right? Now, LexisNexis, basically, you want to search any case, actually, you want to bring, because common law operates based on prior evidence, right? You get the entire list. Why can't we actually build a LexisNexis, in vernacular language, main languages?
Yeah.
Why? Because sessions courts many times use actually.
Hasn't it already started?
I think some work is being done, and I think but I think this needs to happen at war pace actually.
Yeah,
I think,
but in a country where how many languages do we have? We have fights.
But now AI, you have actually the benefit of AI.
Correct.
You have the benefit of AI being able to do translation, etc. I think AI, in my my opinion, actually, especially for a multilingual country like India,
Yeah.
can be a huge boon. We need to, avail that benefit.
So
right?
long as learning models incorporate all that complexities of legal issues.
Yes, I think which can be done. I
Can
think
be
it's
done.
just
Yes, of course.
all one needs actually is, for instance, there should be like the GSTN. There should be an independent entity that is created.
You're going
which
into
has,
a minefield area on GST.
No, I'm not going to GSTN. I'm actually drawing inspiration from
Okay.
there, actually, where it's a public-private partnership where you have lawyers and you have technological people as well, so that the combination of that, you enable, the equivalent of LexisNexis, so that, and not just that, automation of all the procedures. A lot of the procedures that can be automated. In fact, there are countries like Singapore which actually
Yeah.
use AI even for case disposal for a lot of the routine cases. If it is just about, let's say, a traffic violation or something, some of these simple, then those basically there is enough precedent to be able to, you don't need or it's a land dispute, for instance, right? There is enough precedent of that. There's so much data that can be drawn upon by AI to come up with you feed it and the judgment comes through. The judge maybe doesn't have to write it himself. He goes through it, corrects aspects that are actually need to be corrected. A lot of his work is saved. He becomes far more productive. And so using this, productivity can be enhanced, and therefore backlogs can be reduced.
Yeah.
I think
who would have thought that because of COVID and because of that time period, you can now do on camera
Exactly.
and so many things which have changed,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Long distance
Yes.
fighting cases.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
everything is changed. Click here to watch the full episode.